I wanted to take just a brief second here and talk about symmetry inside of our sculpting workflow. Symmetry is an important thing to have enabled and turned on because it allows us to work a little bit more efficiently at the early stages of our sculpture. Ideally, we want to sculpt in symmetry for as long as we can. We want the left side to be identical to the right side. In nature, almost everything initially begins as a symmetrical object, and then through character and individualization, they become asymmetrical. So we're going to start symmetric, and then we're going to end up asymmetric and give our objects and our sculpture some character. Now, it's important that we turn this tool or this engine on right from the get-go. So I've just remeshed my little shark here. I'm ready to start rocking and rolling. And let's look at where we can find the symmetry tools inside of Blender. It's way up here at the top of our screen itself. And you see it says X, Y, and Z. I always look for this little butterfly icon. It's not actually a butterfly. It just looks like a butterfly. I think it's supposed to be a representation of the center line of our mesh and then a mirrored copy of a shape on either side. But to me, it looks like a butterfly. Anywho, let's jump in and look at some of the properties. Now, this is a toggle. And the moment I click on the letter, it goes on. And then when it's not blue, that's a representation that it's off. So I'm going to turn symmetry on the X axis. So if you look carefully inside my viewport, the good little double check, and I know that it's hard to see on your screen because it's a light blue, is these two little blue dots that appear on the mesh itself. And that's telling me that the symmetry engine is on. It recognizes the mesh as being symmetric. And then whatever I do on one side of the mesh is going to automatically be done on the other side. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I just grabbed the draw brush here. And you can see that as I inflate this area of my shark on this side, it also inflates the other side. I like that. That's a great way of working. It makes me very efficient. Now I can focus my creative brain just on one side of the mesh and know that the other side of the mesh is automatically going to be updated in real time, which is pretty great as part of our sculpting workflow. Now, what if you mess up? What if you start sculpting and you're in here and you go, oh man, you've been just sculpted away, and then you go, oh man, I forgot to turn symmetry on. Do I have to start all over now? And the answer is no. You don't have to start all over. There is a symmetrize option in the symmetry tools. Let me show you specifically what that looks for. And I'm going to make this really extreme so you guys can see what's going to go on. I'm going to grab the grab brush, hit the F key to make my brush just a little bit bigger, and just really do a pretty destructive edit on the mesh itself. Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe I want to have this little whoops thing be on both sides of the mesh. Well, to do that, to symmetrize the mesh, we return to our symmetry tools, and it's way up here. There's a little drop-down arrow that pops open this little menu. I definitely suggest that you take some time looking at the details of this. A lot of this stuff is kind of advanced, but it's good to know that it's there. The areas that I like are the lock. You can lock and access from not being sculpted. That's pretty neat. Of course, this mirror X, Y, and Z, you see those in these little icons up in here. And then you can also do some tiling. More on that much later in the course when we start talking about how to infuse textures inside of our process. But let's just jump all the way down to the bottom of this panel here where it says symmetrize. And it says -X to X. Now, what does that mean? Let's take a look at this real fast, because that's an important function of the symmetry engine itself. I want you to take a second and look at my compass in the upper right-hand corner of our 3D viewport. This compass is going to be the guide as to how the computer is going to symmetrize the mesh itself. The X icon that's red, that's filled in solid circle red, that's the positive side of the X axis, which means the other side, this one over here, is the negative side of the x-axis. If we look at our tools, it's going to take the information on the negative side, see how it says -X, and apply it to the positive side of the x-axis. Let's do it real fast. Let's hit symmetrize, and then voila, mission accomplished. On this side of my mesh, I didn't have that really big, crazy thin thingy that I sculpted with the grab tool, and it looked at all the geometric information on the -X side and applied it to the positive X side. So this is a great way to get your mesh back into symmetry. Now, with my mesh returned to its symmetrical state once again, I can activate the X symmetry option, and now what I do on one side is going to be done on both sides. The symmetry tools inside of Blender are a fantastic addition to our workflow. It allows us to work efficiently, creatively, and intelligently.